So Pallavi, since you mentioned that it is compulsory or mandatory to have an ICC, is it possible for small organizations like a startup, say with 4 5 employees, to have an ICC?
It's not, and that's exactly why the guideline, or the requirement of having an internal complaints committee is only applicable for organizations which have 10 or more members. So rest of the guidelines, which we of course Garima, right now this is not the place to cover these things. So rest of the guidelines are applicable across the organization irrespective of their team member size. But having an ICC is something which are set up, which has less than 10 members, can be exempted. Now, what's important to consider is, if you are going to be compliant with the rest of the guidelines, which requires you to sensitize your employees about their rights with respect to this law, have policy in place, have an anti-sexual harassment policy in place, put up notices for visitors, for your clients, for your interns, for your internal members to be able to be aware of an existence of such a policy. Um, while you cannot have a committee which requires you at least to have 4 people on board, and 3 members internally and 1 as an external member, while that is not possible for a team size of less than 10 people, let's look at the intent of the workspace, right? So if the intent is to actually create a work environment which is safe, which is conducive, which is healthy, in this context we're talking about female gender, right, which is conducive for its women employees, then what you can do is, what's the best that you can do is, maybe you can assign 2 individuals, one male and one female, to be responsible into looking into these matters, that no woman, okay, if you want to create another gender neutral policy around it, that's completely, once again, at the prerogative of the leadership. But if you just talk about the women gender, then just assign 2 individuals from your team who will specifically look into these matters, that no woman, either as a client, external or internal individual, will be treated either in a preferential manner, in a discriminatory manner, or in a derogatory manner.
Okay, Pallavi. So since you are saying that even if it's a small organization or a big organization, following of the policy is important, whether you have an ICC or you assign 2 members. So what has changed ever since the workplaces have started having a policy or an ICC?
A lot. It's surprising to see how much the work environment has changed in the past 3 years. I have been working on this specific law ever since the law came up, like since December 2013, right? When I talk to women who are now part of workspaces and are now aware of such an existence of this particular law that protects their rights at workplaces, protects their integrity, the respect that they get, the treatment that they get. Earlier, if a woman is part of the workspace, obviously as an individual she can always tell people, she can always demand a certain specific treatment, someone calling her nicknames or complimenting her. You may like it sometimes and you may not like it. Of course there will be favorable treatment, and there will be treatment based on your gender which will not work in your favor. Let's just take a small example. You're applying for a job, okay, and you're a single woman. The question gets asked is, how soon are you planning to get married, or when do you plan to get married, when do you plan to get settled in your personal life. Now based on that, so once is, first of course this question is nowhere related to how you will be performing at work, right? So the very presumption that you as a woman getting married will then later on, your marriage, the decision of your marriage will actually affect your work performance, is something of a presumption, right? Because as a professional, I should be expected to perform as per my best of capability. So you should be concerned, the person sitting on the other side of the table should be concerned about, if I have the right skills, if I have the right experience, if I bring the right kind of drive into the team and the organization that I'm joining. But just because of my decision that I do plan to get married in the next 1 year or in 2 years, if I do not get a job or a promotion later on, now that's a discriminatory treatment based on my gender alone, because as far as I remember, no man gets asked this question.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Exactly. And this is not just something that I'm saying from my experience. This has been across the line. You can go and ask any man, was he ever asked this question? Very rarely. Of course, there are always exemptions when men also get asked these questions. But I don't really think anyone can come and say that this has affected the reason for them either not getting a job or not getting a promotion. Now, coming back to the question that you asked, that what has changed after this law has come up, or what has changed once an ICC in place. See, earlier there was no place for a woman to go and raise these issues. Where will she go? Okay, obviously you cannot go to the police station and say that I did not get hired because of so and so reason, or I did not get a promotion because I just had a baby, right? Or people at work are calling me sweetheart, and even though I have told them 100 times that I do not like being called these names, I still get called these names. No one will take your complaint seriously. Was the second thing that a woman was doing? She will either talk to her friends and family, but they're outsiders in the organization. What is it once again that they can do? Of course, as an individual, you will feel lighter about it, and the second day you can still go back to work and try and keep focus on your productivity as much as possible. Third thing, thanks to social media, we can always come and write about it, which a lot of individuals actually have started writing about it. So having an internal complaints committee in place which is functioning the way it is desired to be function. I'm jumping topic here, but let's understand why we call it internal complaints committee. It's an internal mechanism. It actually provides as much safety to an organization as it is providing to the individual, to the woman here. So while it is providing a woman an avenue where she can go and raise her concern with respect to how she is treated in the organization, it also provides the management, the organization, an internal boundary, that before an individual who is so integral to a company steps out of the organization boundary and starts talking about what is happening within the organization in whatever manner, it's a query, it's a concern for that particular woman, and starts talking about it from the with the outside world, and which will of course affect the image of the organization. ICC allows that break. If the ICC is functioning the way it is supposed to function, it has been able to build that trust. The ICC members, we will get to that in the next in the further sections, how ICC can do that or why they are supposed to do that. If an ICC is actually behaving in the manner it is supposed to be behaving, then a woman will go to ICC first, which has started happening, even if it's the smallest of issue, but it reaches ICC first. And what it does for an organization and the woman is, it brings it on a neutral stage. So it may be a misunderstanding, it may be a huge issue, it may be a a crisis matter, but the organization has the opportunity to handle and resolve this matter without it letting go out of its space. And same thing for the woman. It provides it the support, a safe environment, because she's not going all out there, her name is not coming out on any media, she's being taken seriously, and she's still amongst the people that she works with on an everyday basis. See, the very reason that she's part of the organization is because there's something that is still going right? She likes the job, or she likes the team that she's part of. So because of that one person, you can't really say that that whole organization is not performing as per how she thought it would be. So it provides a win-win situation for both.
That's a great development.
Yeah, it is. Actually, one thing that people miss out on this is that how it actually works in favor of men. So a lot of people think, or men think that this law is only favoring women, but we should also see that while earlier it was as much as it is actually useful for women to know their rights, it's also important for men to know what are the rights being given to other gender, right? And another most beautiful aspect of this law is that it also has a clause which allows which takes care of the false complaints part. So if ever a matter is well investigated and is found to be a false false issue or false case, then there is a reverse investigation that can be started. So if you look at the whole way this law is designed, Yes, it is for women, but it provides protection for everyone involved, men, women, and the organization also. And if an organization chooses to create a gender neutral policy, then it provides protection for everyone.
Yeah, that's great.